everybody, it's time for our Mortgage Minute with Tatiana Ivleva-Lopez from Prosperity Home Mortgage. Hello, how are you?
Hey, Tatiana.
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. We missed you last week, so it's
Yes.
almost like a 2-week update. So tell us all about what's going on with interest
Yeah.
rates.
Rates.
The rates.
Yeah, we still got a new little hat yet.
I think they're improved, haven't they? Or am I behind?
They did improve slightly. They, moving back and forth, but they actually the trend right now on improving. Actually, they are improving. The Fed on Wednesday hit pause on interest rates cut, and in its first key decision of the Trump's second term. So, and
Okay.
then central bank officials opt to keep a borrowing cost in a range between 4.25% and 4.5% as they await further progression on inflation, which showed signs of stalling out, late last year. So, the Fed officials, they saying that they hoping that eventually inflation will reach their 2% target. But as of right now, in their comments, they did not mention like before that inflation is slowing more quickly than anticipated. So with this, I believe the plan before was to cut rates 7 times this year,
Yeah.
but they're not. Looks like they're not planning on doing that. So and as of right now, the rates sort of, like I said, they stalling and they don't know what's gonna happen.
You know what? I think it was a load of crap that they said they were going to do it anyway. I never expected them to do it, and they need to stop just telling people that.
Yep. We were talking about that the last couple of times. It's like what they say almost never happens.
Yeah.
It never plays out
It
the way.
didn't happen all last year. I mean, the end of the year, they finally were able to do a little bit of a cut, but it didn't pan out the way it was supposed to. Am I bitter? Do I sound bitter
You're a
about
little
this?
bitter.
I think you're right, and I think they all do it just to influence people's decision too, right?
Yeah.
Because
Right.
everybody listens to what they say, and
Yeah.
it influences the mortgage rates some as well, of course.
Yeah.
I think I would be more upset by it if there were actually enough homes on the market for people to buy, that ended up just sitting there and kind of creating a fraud market, my term, not any real term. But since we don't have any inventory really anyway, it's not as big a deal, but they still need to stop faking.
Well, and it does a little bit affect it when they're talking about the potential of dropping rates, because then everybody sits on the side. Or I'm waiting for those rates to come down versus making a decision and saying, this is reality.
This is reality.
Yeah, but as of right now, the average rate, as you can see, around 7.11%. The jumbo is a little lower, and government loans, FHA, VA, they are around 6.67. And again, it's average rate. Of course, they're influenced by the amount of down payment, the borrower's credit scores. Sometimes the rate could be better than 6.675 on FHA VA, for example. I was quoting someone at 6.25. So it fluctuates, of course, depending on the situation. But in average, those are the rates right now, and I feel like people, I think they're getting used to it, and I'm busy with pre-approvals and people writing offers. So I think we're gonna hit a pretty big market in the springtime. I think it's gonna be busy. So it's getting there now. So if somebody thinking to wait until spring to buy, you're gonna jump right into a pot when everybody's doing it. So it's better to do it now than later.
And we've actually seen the inventory hasn't been picking up as quickly as quickly as buyer demand has. We've seen inventory, it started picking up and then it kind of flatlined a little bit the last 2 to 3 weeks. So
yeah,
hopefully that's going to start picking up to supply some of those buyers that are getting all these pre-approvals.
yeah. But I mean, it's like, what was that? You know, is it the announcements made by the Fed? And, you know, I know you've gotten some phone calls from our clients about being furloughed and things like that. Are you seeing anything on your end with these
With
recent...
the new administration, like what are you seeing that affect the market at all? Or not the market, the lending side of the market?
Not yet. We
Okay.
don't see that, but definitely the furloughs would definitely affect people's qualifications, right? If somebody is in process of getting a mortgage and they get in furloughed, you cannot get a mortgage, right? Because
Right.
you have zero income, you get the zero mortgage, pretty much. But definitely, you know, all that uncertainty and whatever they're gonna do influence the market, maybe not immediately for us right now, but you know, if they're gonna cut the grants, and it's definitely gonna affect some people, right? Not everyone, but those that are looking for grants, they won't be able to do it.
Yeah. So does that federal funding freeze, if that does happen, because my understanding is it got paused by the Supreme Court or by some judge, if that does come into play, does that affect FHA and VA at all, or are those separate entities? That's not really a part of the grant aspect of the government, right?
Also, correct, yeah, and it all depends on what exactly is gonna happen. It could freeze and affect actually the approval process, because we use a lot of federal agencies to maybe do some background checks and others, so that could definitely affect the process of getting the loan through, basically.
Gotcha. Okay. And a furlough, is that like if you're seeing anybody get furloughed, are you seeing it that like they have a given time limit on how long they anticipate being furloughed? And if they do have that time limit, can they still qualify for a loan with that kind
so
of?
if you're on a furlough, that you cannot, they don't really tell you that you're gonna be furloughed for 3 days, right, or 10 days. It's sort of indefinite, and we won't be able to lend to that person until they're back
at
out of furlough. Because even if they tell them the time frame, that could be extended, right? So when there's uncertainty like that, until person goes back to work, they won't be able to get a mortgage.
Okay. And does a furlough affect future qualifications? So what I mean by that is, let's say that I work for a company that gets these funds. I got furloughed for 30 days and then I'm back at work, and then 6 months from now I'm applying for a loan. Do you see any world where they, do you see any world where the lenders might start looking at, do you have a history of being furloughed at a risk of it happening again, and that affect that income?
We don't look at it that way. The only way it could affect the income is for those who are on variable income. So if you're just on a set salary, it's one thing, right? Another thing is when you're on variable income, such as hourly employees, or maybe you're commissioned, and what we do when we qualify someone like that, we average their income. So if your hours fluctuate and then you had that gap, right? So now your year-to-date income is lower than it was before. So I see how that could get affected, but again, you know, we might get some sort of you know, instructions from agencies like Fannie, Freddie, government, HUD for FHA, VA. So they might tell us that, okay, so it was extraordinary, you know, it's not something that happens all the time. It's out of client control and not their fault. So don't use that part, like average it over 3 months instead of 6 months, for example. But you know, I'm not saying that that's what will happen, but it could happen. It's
Yeah.
just gonna be their call, and we as lenders, we have to follow their guidelines, and that's
Yeah.
even though maybe it's unfair and we believe that it shouldn't be this way, but if they dictate that this is how we need to calculate it, that's how we will calculate it.
Right.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So it's kind of a work in progress right now, just to kind of see how things play out and what's going to happen. So we're going to have to kind of stay on this over the next several months, just watching and seeing what's going on.
Yeah, and the best we can do at this point is just kind of, listening to what's actually happening, and then kind of putting our thinking caps on and seeing where this might lead and what could happen to try to get ahead of it as best we can,
Okay. Yeah.
We did have a wave of furloughs a while back. I can't remember right now when exactly, but in my 21-year career, I remember that happening. It doesn't happen too often, but it did,
Yeah.
and I can't remember right now exactly, how we how it played
Navigate.
out
Yeah.
with calculations. But I think, when something like this happens again, the agencies are a little bit rusty on coming and telling how to do it, so they need to figure it out. Hopefully,
Yeah.
it's not gonna affect too many people, but
Yeah.
in our area, it might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other effects you've seen so far,
Yeah.
or is that other than that, it's just kind of business as usual? Everybody's getting ready for the spring market and getting those pre-approvals and getting ready to go.
Exactly, it's just business as usual. It's just, a lot of questions or what's gonna happen with interest rates, how
Yeah.
new administration will affect that. It's really hard to tell. It could go
Yeah.
either way, so nobody can really tell right now, and so we have to
Yeah.
sit and wait and hope for the best.
Okay. So if you guys have any questions, let us know. And Tatiana, if they want to get in touch with you, how do they reach out to you?
Give me a call at 571-245-3000.
All right.
Thank
See you next
you.
week.
See
Bye.
you. Bye.